Hello everyone and welcome back to This Is Real Life. I'm your host Sheri, and today on this DIY Wednesday video, we're going to make something so amazing. And I'll tell you what it is. You know, we always gotta get into it with a backstory. I have been completely obsessed with those velvet covered benches. Like, it seems like everywhere I go, there's a velvet covered bench, there's a velvet covered bench, there's a velvet covered bench. Like, I was recently at an antique store looking for another piece of furniture, which, don't worry, you'll see what we're gonna do with what I found. But I saw this beautiful, kind of tealy turquoise velvet covered bench. It was really overpriced, but I loved it so much. I was like, oh, I just want to buy it. And then I looked at the price and I said, oh, hell no. But these velvet covered benches are not just at antique stores. They're everywhere. I see them all the time at the at home, everywhere. It's like I can't get away from them. It's like the universe knows I want a velvet covered bench, and it is just spitting them out everywhere I go. For example, I went on to the interwebs. While you can get some velvet covered benches for fairly inexpensive, none are less than $100. I mean, Wayfair has a pretty simple one that's not even that cute for like $132. Overstock.com has one that's a little cuter for $183. Living Spaces for $175. And it's not even tufted. Yeah, they're not very cheap. Here is one that's not even that cute, and it is $163. It is tufted and it is velvet, and that's what we want to create. Now, I am not going to lie. If you don't have some of the materials needed for this bench, you might be better off just buying one, because the foam is not cheap. Unless you can catch like a good sale at the Joann's, you are probably going to spend $45 in foam. I know, believe me, I know. $45 in foam is already like half the price of buying a bench brand new. If you don't already have foam, that is one very high cost that you are going to have to spend in order to make this bench. However, all of the other materials are fairly inexpensive, and you may even have some in your garage. What do you need to make this amazing bench? Let's go over it. First thing, like I mentioned, foam. I just so happen to have, like 4 huge pieces of foam, and you'll notice I'm recycling some foam. In my old house, in my backyard, I had this really long built-in bench area. My friend, David, made me a bunch of chair pads for that really long bench area. This foam that I have here, you can see it is basically stained with like the pattern of the fabric that he used to cover the foam. I am working off of the length of this foam, and this foam is 45 inches long. I am also recycling a piece of wood that is in my garage. This wood is from some shelving that the previous owner had that I took down. I just used my jigsaw and trimmed it to the appropriate length to match my foam. This board is only 12 inches wide. My bench, while I might have enjoyed having it like 17 or 18 inches wide, I'm not going to. I'm going to keep it 12 inches wide. Because the foam was 24 inches wide, I drew a line. I was thinking, how am I gonna cut it? And I tried to use my scissors, but that just didn't work. So guess what? I used my jigsaw. My jigsaw cut right through this foam like butter. You could also use like an electric carving knife, and that would cut through your foam as well. If you can, recycle some foam, preferably 3 inches thick and preferably very firm. While this foam looks super beat up and gross, it's not. I even sprayed it with some Febreze just to get like the outdoor elements off of it. So this foam is good to go. I have also picked up some very inexpensive velvet fabric from the Joann's. Now, I think this is like imitation velvet because it was very inexpensive. It was $10.19 a yard, and I bought a little over half a yard. Because the pattern runs up and down, I wanted the pattern to run up and down on my bench. So I could buy less yardage because the width of my fabric is 56. 12 inches wide plus 3 inches to go over the foam on the front, 3 inches on the back, and then some to tuck under to staple gun down. And so this is gonna be my fabric. I love it. I also bought some really cute buttons to do our tufting. $6 and $6 on the fabric. So $12 at the Joann's is what I spent. The other thing that you're going to need is some batting. You could skip this step if your foam wasn't nearly as gross as mine, or your fabric was not possibly going to be see-through. I am going to cover the foam in batting. It just so happens that I had this batting left over from our headboard project. But a roll of batting is not terribly expensive at the Joann's. So if you don't have it, this isn't gonna be that big of a cost. Now, you could be saying, Sheri, fuck man, you spent $12 at the Joann's and maybe another $45. You're already up to like 50, 60 bucks with your batting. Why didn't you just buy a bench for like 100? Well, because in reality, so far, all I've spent is $12 at the Joann's. Now, for our bench, we are gonna need some legs, and these are them. To save on cost, you could do just a straight square, like 1x1, 2x2 leg. Buy a 1x1 or a 2x2 piece of wood, and then cut that down to your leg height. However, I wanted the legs on my bench to be a little bit more ornate. So at the Lowe's, I went to their section where they have like turned wood. These are actually table legs, bench legs, chair legs, what have you. And then they have these really short guys that you could use for like an ottoman or a coffee table or what have you. I was like, ugh. This could be a little bit too short, but the ones that were taller, I would have to cut off because they were way too tall. So then I thought, oh, what if I did this plus this and then glued them together? That seems to be the perfect height for a bench. Reason why I did not get the longer legs and chop them off is because the longer legs were more expensive. The longer legs were about $17 to $20 a piece. This medium-sized leg was $7 and this little guy was $5. So together, that's $12 a leg. Put a little bit of extra time into it, get the right height for your leg, and save about $5 to $7 per leg. But again, if you didn't want something ornate like this, you could just get a 1x1 or a 2x2 and cut that to the appropriate length and save yourself some money. Each of these legs are really nice because they already have like a screw part at the tip. Look, Beauty Guru. So what you do is you get this hardware. Literally, it was like $2. So you mount these silver things underneath your bench, and then your leg, shoop, 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 screws right into them. Now, they both have it. So my plan was I was gonna glue this together like this with wood glue, saw that off, put like, I don't know, some sort of a little foot on there. I didn't think this part through yet, but if I do glue these together and then I hack off this much here, that would give me the appropriate length, and then it would only give me one screw head, and I'd still be under the price of one appropriate sized leg. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I know, it sounds like a lot of fucking trouble, but I did want a really cute kind of detailed leg to go with my cute fabric. I think that is the cutest little bench leg I've ever seen in my life. We're gonna Tim gun the shit out of it, and we're gonna make this work. I think I probably am gonna hack this off first, and then we'll come back in and we're gonna glue these puppies together. I'm just gonna use my jigsaw, and I'm just gonna follow this little line right here and hack it right off. And this part will now be on the floor, and this part will be screwed into my bench. I know, it's a good idea, and it's saving money, and it's gonna work. I'll be right back. I'm going to my garage. That was actually super easy. It took me like 2 seconds to do. A very clean cut, boom, boom. And now we actually have 4 little feet that we could, I don't know, make a coffee table with or something. Maybe another project out of these. Just saying. For these legs, we're gonna just literally glue them together with wood glue. My apprehension at first was, how am I gonna put enough pressure on this to hold this together while the wood glue dries? We all know wood glue is super, super tough. It takes on the toughness of wood, if not stronger. So I wasn't worried about this ever breaking apart once it was glued. What I was worried about was actually putting enough pressure on the 2 pieces to hold them together tightly. I don't have clamps, like, you know, I own 3 and they're all like this kind. So I don't have a clamp that is long enough to sandwich these in between. What could we do? I brought in my ratchet straps from my car and I thought that maybe, just maybe, we could ratchet strap them to make that tight and secure while the wood glue dries. And I also brought in my glue gun to do that little, you know, Dollar Tree trick. We could do like a little bit of hot glue, fill it with wood glue, and then when we press it together, the hot glue will dry quickly and then let the wood glue take its time drying. But if you had bungee cords, you could probably bungee cord these together too. Put a rock on this to hold it down maybe. I don't know, but we're gonna figure it out and it's gonna be fine. I do have my Titebond wood glue, not sponsored, and I do have a little bit of sandpaper because while the bottoms of these aren't entirely super smooth, I do wanna rough them up a little bit just to give them like a tooth for the wood glue to, you know, help it just be a stronger bond. So I am going to sand the bottom of each of these and then we're gonna wood glue them together and put them off to the side to dry. So I have just roughed up the bottoms of each of my legs and I've outfitted my glue gun with the Gorilla Glue sticks. So again, it's one of those, in here it works. So glue, glue, glue. Gorilla Glue, wood glue. I mean, people swear by it. I don't see why it wouldn't work here. So now let's wood glue it. Nice little dollop. I want to try to line up the curves and press, press, press. Hey, check that out. I don't think we're gonna need to ratchet them. Yes, I do. There is kind of a little bit of gap where the glue stick, God, that glue stick holds good. Where the glue stick is, I think that I'm gonna try to fill that in with some wood glue and then wipe the excess off. We may even go back in with some wood filler just because I don't wanna see that seam. Smooth that out and let it dry for days and days and days and days. Not really that long. So yeah, I think that is good. Look at it! You would never even know that this wasn't a full leg to begin with. And how cute is that gonna be? Just stand over there and dry. Now let's do the other 3. I think that technique worked perfectly. I think they look amazing. And the hot glue, Gorilla Glue, plus the wood glue combination, I feel perfectly fine that these are gonna be super secure once the wood glue has completely dried. So it turns out my super brilliant idea for gluing 2 separate leg pieces together didn't work out. Not nearly as durable as I thought it would be. Don't worry, I have a fix for it and I'm gonna show you exactly how to do it. It's super easy. This bench is not a fail. Later on, I'm gonna show you how we make sure 2 separate leg pieces don't come apart. So now, while those are drying, we need to mark our wood that's our seat of our bench for the holes that we're gonna drill so that we can tuft them. If you watched the How to Make a Tufted Headboard, we're using the same exact technique. Now, you don't have to tuft your bench. You could do away with this entire step and then just put your foam on, put your batting on, staple gun your fabric on, and call it done. But we're gonna tuft it, and we know that I have 9 buttons. So I want to divide my board directly in half down the length so that I know where the center is. And then we'll do a little cross section action. We may only put like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which I think will probably be enough for this width and this length of a bench. Where's my measuring tape? Right here. I know that this board is 12 inches wide. We're gonna go just under 6 for the center mark. Mark, mark here, mark, mark. And draw a line right down the center of the length of my board. Since I'm gonna do 2 and 2 in between my 3, first I need to divide the board into thirds so that I know that I'm gonna put a tuft along the center line in 3 spots, 1, 2, and 3. And then we'll take the middle of those 2 and we'll put a tuft here and here in the middle of these 2 and a tuft here and here. Half of 45 is, anyone? Anyone at all? 22 and a half. Boom. Now we need to take half of 22 and a half and half of 22 and a half. Now we know we are going to drill a hole here, here, and here at this cross section. So now I want to do a tuft in between top and bottom, here and here. So I'm gonna draw a line in half this way at the 3-inch mark and in half this way at the 3-inch mark. And then I'll draw my 2 lines here and here to divide these quadrants in half. Now we have our tufting grid laid out. I'm gonna do a drill hole here, 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 and here. So this is our tufting pattern. Now we go into the garage, get our drill, and all those holes. Okay, so I lied a little bit. Just before I was gonna get up and take my wood into the garage, I was looking at my tufting pattern, and while I don't think it's bad, I just feel like it's a little bit too tight because we are coming in 11 inches on either side before we're even tufting. I'm gonna spread out my tufts just a little more, 18 inches on either side from the center point, and then find my centers top and bottom. So I'm gonna spread my tufting out just a little bit, but the same rules apply. Do your measurements, cross the beams, don't cross the streams. Cross your lines, put your little circles where you're gonna drill at where those lines intersect. So I'm gonna change this just a little bit. So everything's remarked, tuft, 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 tuft. Now we can officially go into the garage and drill our holes for our tufting. And then we can cover this bitch. Holes are drilled. Here, 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 and here. So now we get to build our bench seat. Move your wood and lay out your batting, not your fabric yet, just your batting. I want to set my foam on top in the center as best as possible. I basically am using the batting to cover up the stained portion of this foam. We want to take our wood and place that on top. And now you want to get your handy dandy staple gun, and we're going to take our batting and roll it up and over and then staple gun that to our wood. Kind of tightly, not super duper duper tight. I want to make sure everything is nice and flush and even between our foam and our board. There, just to hold it in place. And you know I like to staple in from the center out. So I'll take this, pull this across, and staple gun here. Pulling and stapling, just to get our batting secure. Boom, boom. Now that we have our batting on, and it's nice and beautiful, now we can take our fabric and lay that over the top and staple gun that down. Oh, am I gonna need to iron this? I'm gonna need to iron this. Son of a bitch. But I do want to find the center of my fabric, and then I want that to be the center of my bench as well. And then we'll staple gun all that down nice and smooth and tight after we go iron it. Fabric has been ironed. This pattern is a little willy-nilly, so I feel like it's forgiving in that way. That looks good to me. I have enough on all ends to fold over and staple, and that is exactly what we are going to do. very gently and easily flip this over. This time when we staple, we want to use a shit ton because we want this fabric to be super tight. Pull this nice and snug. And now, do. So just make sure you don't have wrinkles as you're stapling. But the good news is when you flip this over, if you see there's a wrinkle in it, it's not that huge of a deal. You can take the staple out and then re-staple it. And now we just do that, this side and this side. And then when it gets to the corners, I'll show you like the gift wrap trick for the corners. So I put 5 staples along each side. And before I get super carried away with staples, I do want to do the ends and the corners. And then I'll go back and make sure this is tight like all the way with a gajillion staples. We're going to pull this center up and over. Now, take the corner, fold in that little extra batting, and I'm gonna pinch in the sides, and then I'm gonna pull up and around that corner. And I'm just gonna finesse it with my hands until I think the corners look good to me. Make sure I have nice, even creases. Staple it, just staple the shit out of it. And now you do that for all 4 corners. Then you can come back and re-staple down everything nice and snug. The corners have been stapled and I just flipped it over to check my work. Like I feel like I can pull this corner a little bit tighter because these are nice and rounded over. And then I'm going to go and reinforce all of my edges with some more staples. And then I'm gonna cut off my excess fabric. Then we can tuft it. Okay. We have stapled all around and cut off our excess fabric. Now it's time to flip it over and make sure we did everything properly. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, it looks so good. Yes, I love it. Now, like I said, you don't have to tuft it. You could stop right here. Put your legs on, call it a day. You've got a bench. But you know we're extra. That's why we took the time to map out all of our holes for our tufting. And tufting, especially on something this thick, is gonna be a little bit difficult, but not doable. Not doable. Yeah, but doable. Difficult, but doable. I went to the Hobby Lobby. I got my little tufting needles here. And then I have my waxed super strong thread because you're gonna be pulling super fucking tight. Just like with staple gunning, we're gonna work middle out. The trick is, from this side, you're gonna place your button. You're gonna stick your needle in, and then you have to make your needle hit and go through the hole on this side. It's kind of a pain in the ass. It's doable, it's just gonna take a little finessing. So you want to cut off a good amount of your waxed thread. I'm gonna double it in my button. I've got a really long piece and I folded it in half. And now I'm gonna thread my button and then thread my needle. This is where the fun begins. I want to push this through like so. I gotta flip this, but now I gotta try to get my needle through that hole that I drilled. Eventually you get it. Aha, see, I got it. Then your needle is coming out the back side. You can see, here goes my button. Boop, boop. Boom. And here is my thread on the other side. I just want to make sure when I pull this, I'm pulling tight enough to create a little tuft in there. So pulling nice and tight, I'm going to tie this off. My hole is pretty big. And if I were to let this thread go, bye-bye tufting. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my staple gun, I'm gonna place a staple right on the outside. I'm gonna hammer that down nice and tight. And now I'm gonna tie my thread around that staple to hold that knot in place. Tie knots, staple, all around that hole. And then I'm gonna do that 6 more times. And just to double check, we're so good. That looks good. Now the trick is to make sure all your tufts that you do are as deep as this one. Yay, right? So we have our center one done, and now I'm going to do the center outer edge and the center outer edge, and then I will go middle, 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 middle. Get your waxed thread, thread your button, thread that needle. It's about 4 1/4 over from the edge, so it's about right there. Jab it like so. Wiggle, 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 because you're blind, you can't see it. So it takes a little wiggling, and you'll know as soon as you hit that hole, because your needle will go whoop right through it. Am I in the right spot? Let's go from this side down, mark it, and then do. Sheri, you're brilliant. Aha. That's a better plan, guys. That's a way better plan. Go in from the back, mark where you see your needle coming through on the front, and then hit the hole. Now, it took me about 5 tries because I kept putting my needle in at an angle. If you make sure you're going super straight, you shouldn't have any issues. But it also might take you 5 tries. Flip this over, pull your needle through the back, and it's in. Now you want to pull it as tight as you pulled this one, tie a nice knot, and then get your staple gun, and then tie a million knots. Before you get too carried away, just flip it and double make sure that you've got the same amount of deepness as far as you could tell. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, keep tying knots. And voila, we have our perfectly, beautifully tufted bench. And now all we have to do is take our hardware for our legs and screw these into each corner of our bench. And you're gonna need to get your drill with a screwdriver bit or just a regular old screwdriver. Open these up, they come with everything you need. So you have your little corner plate and you have your 4 screws for each of the corner plates. And then these little guys just screw vroop, 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 right in. So we'll line this up with each one of the corners, and then we are gonna drill them to our base so that our legs can screw into those. Yay! Other than painting and waiting for that to dry, we're pretty much done. And I am going to pre-drill my little holes for my hardware just because I don't want to wreck it. I've come this far. As square as possible, lining up the edge with the edge with the edge with the edge. Oh, we got this little guy. That should be good. Little guy. Hi, Joe. Mark where I want to drill. We don't have to go too far down because these little screws are just little itty bitty guys. Pre-drilling right through my fabric. And in the corner here. Perfect. Get your drill bit in there. Get your screw. Pretty self-explanatory. And I'm not gonna tighten until I have all 4 in, and then I'll go around and tighten all of them equally. Okay, yay, that is done. So, all that's left is to either paint or stain your legs. But really, once that's done, you just take this and screw this. Boom. Oh, let's just do it. Let's just do all the legs. We want to see. Don't we want to see? Let's turn it over. Ugh. We have a bench. We could stop and be done right now. However, see how we can see the metal piece? I don't want to see that. So what I did is I bought some wood half round trim that I'm going to trim out this too, so that I'm going to have wood going across and all the way around to cover up the mechanics of the leg thing. You don't have to do that. I was thinking about it and I was like, ooh, you could even do like a ribbon or something. Then I thought, ooh, what about fringe? Just hot glue like fringe on the edge of this. But for me, I'm gonna paint a piece of wood half round. I do need to trim it and cut it, and then I'll nail it into the base of my bench here. I'm gonna paint it the same color that I'm gonna paint my legs, and then I will officially be done. It's so cute, I love it. So I'm gonna go paint the legs and the wood trim, and then the next time you see it, it will be the final reveal. Okay, so I have painted everything. I put my little trim border around. I just need to touch up paint on the corners of my trim, and I've actually been sitting on it to test its durability. And yeah, Houston, we have a problem. Turns out, yeah, not durable at all. But don't worry, I know what to do, and we're gonna do that right now. We are all very well aware that my method for gluing the two leg pieces together didn't exactly work. Well, it didn't exactly work for this one leg, and I don't know why. Because these legs, and I even tried to break it. This one seems real good. This one seems real good. And this one seems real good. I don't know if it's that because I maybe put too much hot glue and there was not enough surface area for the wood glue. Not sure. However, we are going to do this properly. There is a tried and true method for joining two pieces of wood together without screwing, nailing, what have you. These little baby 1/2-inch fluted dowel pins. In a perfect world, I would have done this first, but really, I forgot all about it because I was so jazzed to just be like, done. I know this method. I don't know why I didn't do it originally. I think I bought the smallest pack. It's a pack of 15. You could buy them individually, and I think they were like 17 cents each. Could I have gone that route and just purchased 4? Yeah, but I thought, might as well have some on hand, just in case. Now, what you need to do is once you have your dowels, you're gonna get your wood glue and your drill. Here's the best part. All you need is a drill bit that is 1/2-inch in diameter. So you don't need a special paddle bit, nothing like that. We don't want it to be too big of a hole that we're drilling. We want this little dowel to fit in the hole super snugly. Like you're gonna find the center, drill a hole, and then wood glue and hammer this in. Do the same on this one. Find the center of this, drill a hole, fill that hole with wood glue, and then whoop, butt these two suckers together. Boom. Nice and snug. What I do need to do is scrape off all of my remnants of hot glue here, which kind of irritates me because I really painted these legs really cute. I did like custom mix paint from just my paint that I had laying around. At first I mixed a green, and when I painted it on, it was a little bit too like sagey green. And so then I found some yellow, and so I mixed a little bit of that green mixture that I made with some bright yellow, and then I painted over the top, and then I sanded it so you can see the little bits of green underneath. As soon as I join these together properly and they're dry, I am gonna have to touch up that joint. There is a part of me that's like, these are great, they're stuck together. But I don't wanna be down the road sitting on my bench trying to put on my shoes and then have this go and collapse out from under me. So I did bring my little chisel thing, and I'm hoping that I can just get in the groove, hammer that down, and then break these apart. Okay, so I have broken all my legs apart, and it was actually a little bit too easy. So I'm glad we're doing this the proper way. I did take the legs outside and sand off all of the hot glue remnants. We just need to find the center of each of our legs. Since this is like an octagon shape, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, octagon. We want to find the center of one of the little octagon-y sides. I'm gonna kind of eyeball it, I think. I'm gonna eyeball the center of all of them because we want to connect our lines so that wherever they meet in the middle, that's the center. So now that we have all of our little marks eyeballed, I'm gonna connect these lines. You know, we're cutting little pieces of pie. And now, where all of our lines meet in the middle, that's where we're gonna drill our hole. Get your drill ready. I wanna split the dowel in half. I wanna drill halfway through this leg and halfway through this leg so that when I put this dowel in, I've got half in one side and half in the other, and when they are butted up together, they meet perfectly flush. Half of 1 1/2 is where we need to drill down to. So let me go get some tape so I can mark this. Okay, so I have my drill bit taped off and marked for how deep I want to drill down here. Now we just drill our hole right in the center. Get this little point of that drill bit right there in that center and go nice and easy and slow and stop when your little blue tape flag reaches the base of the leg. My drill bit shifted over even though I had it right smack dab in the center. So let's check the fit. Oh, hail to the no. That drill bit is too tiny. I actually need to go get a different one. I have the right drill bit. It literally says 1/2 inch on it. I just tested it in my off-center hole and voila, that fits perfectly. My issue is now that this hole is off-center, I have to make this hole off-center so that they match up. How am I gonna do that, you ask? That's a very good question. Maybe I can put some black Sharpie or something and then press it together. I don't know. Why did you go off center, dum-dum? Let me figure it out. Okay, so my idea works. I took just a black marker and really slathered it on the edge of my circle, and then I hurried up and I took this one and I pressed it down, and it did leave a black mark. Not a full circle, but enough to where I can estimate where we need to drill. Let's do it. Let's drill. See what happens. Okay, now we have our 2 holes. Let's dry fit it and see if they line up at all. Kinda do. I think that's not bad. Oh, that's pretty good. So let's just find centers and drill all of our holes. I'm gonna grab my hot glue gun, heat that up, and then we'll fill everybody, stick them together, and let them dry. All of my holes are drilled. I have a ginormous mess on my floor, but that's fine. We'll just go like this. And now we take our wood glue, fill our hole, place our dowel, and my hot glue gun here, so that we can do the ... method, and then hold those together super flat until the wood glue completely dries. Once I get the frickin' thing of the wood glue open, why? Oh, there we go. Sorry, I was thinking to myself, mention that you need to fill the hole generously with wood glue. That made my mind go to one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. It's called Smiley Face. And do they have a generous benefit package? I don't know why my mind went there, but we do need to fill our drilled hole generously with wood glue and then place our dowel. I like that the wood glue has spooged up over the top. Let's fill this one with wood glue too. And I'm gonna do the same little thing where I'm gonna dot some hot glue around. And then we're going to match that on up. Press, 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 press. Oh, I love it. All the excess wood glue is spooging out. I like that. We are good and properly secure now. Can you believe it? Perfect, perfect, perfect. And now they shouldn't snap in two when I sit on my bench. So let's do the rest. Are you guys ready to see the magnificence that is the velvet tufted bench? It's pretty cute. You might die, and I am not gonna be responsible if you do. Oh my God, Magnum, it is so cute. We redid the legs, and you also might notice that I added a little stretcher dowel across the back and along the bottoms. I did this exactly how we did the dowels to connect these joints here. I just drilled a little hole and then I shoved the dowel in between. And the reason I did that is to give the legs a little bit more stability. Not that it wasn't stable, but the stability was slightly questionable. Bought a dowel, cut it to the right length. a half an inch longer than I needed it. And then I drilled in each leg about a quarter of an inch and then filled that with wood glue, shoved the dowel in, and now, I mean, look at the material. It is stable. Ugh. I mean, I can sit on it too. So there you have it, and there it is. So yeah, super cute. I know, right? I did add half round all the way around. I just took little tiny finishing nails and nailed this right into our wood piece that we covered in our foam and our fabric. Painted everything, fixed our legs, so now they're super sturdy. And again, added in the little stretcher dowels. I don't think it was super necessary. Better safe than sorry. I just felt like on my wood floors, when I sat on it, I could hear the legs kind of creak or slide a little bit. Might as well put those in just for extra stability. About 2 dowels total. They each cost me about $3-4. So I'm super excited. This is gonna go at the end of my bed and it's gonna be super cute and it's somewhere where I can sit and put my shoes on. All in all, this one was a tough one, money-wise, money time-wise versus like just going and buying one. If you really want a tufted bench, I'm sure you realize how expensive they are. I lucked out because I was able to recycle foam and the wood for the bench. I'm probably into it when all is said and done for about $60-70, which isn't cheap, I'm not gonna lie. Did it take time? Yes, it did. Was it a huge amount of my time? No. Was it difficult time? Not at all. Could any of you do this? 100%. While you may be able to find a tufted velvet bench for under $100, you will be forced to accept that bench that you find how it is. Fabric color, size, what have you. In spending maybe a little less money and giving a little more of your time, you'll be able to create a completely custom bench as long as you want it, as wide as you want it, the velvet fabric that you want, the painted legs that you want. This isn't a difficult one. If you don't have any wood at all, you can go to your local wood store, select a piece of wood, and have them cut it to size for you. You can buy the appropriate size legs in just one piece. You don't have to be crazy like I was. They actually also sell, I want to say they're hairpin. They're made out of metal and they're shaped like a U, kind of. They sell those. I saw those at the Lowe's too, and they're not that expensive either. So you could do like a metal leg, which would be really chic and cool. And if the tufting just seems like too much of a pain in the ass, don't tuft it. It can just be a straight 3-inch, 4-inch thick padded foam with the fabric of your choice over the top. It's pretty easy if you ask me, and it's super cute. And again, I feel like it's totally sturdy enough for me. I wouldn't like sit a family of 4 across it or anything like that. I'll show you. You won't see my face, but I'll show you. I'll sit on it. Look. See? All my weight's on it. It didn't even make a creak. Isn't that good? Super sturdy, and we made it ourselves. Like I always say in every single DIY Wednesday video, just because you haven't done something before doesn't mean you can't do it. This one is so easy and it's so cute. I mean, I love the fabric I selected. Is this color found anywhere in this fabric? No, it isn't. That was by design. My whole room theme is pretty much white. So I just wanted something to bring in a little pop, not so matchy-matchy. I just wanted to do something a little bit crazy. It's subtly crazy, but it is gonna bring in that nice little pop, and I think that you could totally do this. Yes, I did have some trials and tribulations along the way. The leg situation, work through it. We're smart. What do we need to do to make it work? You just figure it out as you go along. And it's not the end of the world if it doesn't turn out super perfect. When you paint the legs, and if you don't feel like they're perfect, sand over the top of them and call it shabby chic. Done. I know a lot of you watch the DIY Wednesday videos just because of this. But I'm telling you, get out there and make I would make my life if you guys made just one of the DIYs, because I'm telling you, I'm no different than you. I figure stuff out just like you would figure it out, just from necessity. Again, you know me, I'm freaking cheap. I am not gonna spend $100 on a bench that's gonna go at the end of my bed when I could probably make one for $60, $70 and have it be exactly how I want it. I'm just saying, do a DIY. If not for yourself, do it for me. So that's it. Another DIY Wednesday video, completely successful. So if you like this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. Be sure to ring that notification bell so that you are alerted to all of the DIY Wednesday videos I push out, which is every other Wednesday at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time. Make sure you share this video with your family and friends. And as always, thanks for hanging out.